Warning: the following episode contains elements of horror that may be unsuitable for listeners under the age of 13. Listener discretion is advised. Hello. We've been expecting you. I'm Brianna, and welcome to Beyond the Bazaar's 13 Nights of Frights. From October 19th through October 31st, Halloween night, we will be sharing with you some of our favorite hand-picked urban legends, lore, stories, and more that we love to talk about during this special time of year. So take a seat, make yourself comfortable for these 13 nights of terror. Hello everybody, happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bazaar. I'm Brianna, your host, and I'm so glad to have you guys back for the fifth night of our 13 Nights of Frights. So yesterday I shared with you guys a ritual called the Scorpion Ritual, in which the main objective is to reanimate a corpse, to bring back someone from the dead. So initially, when I found it, when I started reading just the kind of like the summarization of it, it says the objective is to bring back a dead body. So initially I thought you was going to be bringing back someone from the dead, but initially it's pretty much to bring back a murderous zombie. So I mean, if you want to do it, or if someone decides to do it, I mean, I guess it's just the coolness of being able to do it, but with all the risk, like there's really no good thing that comes from it. I wouldn't recommend anyone actually doing it, but it exists, and I'm pretty sure there's people out here who probably attempted it at some point. I don't know how, since I don't know how many people have dead bodies laying around, but who knows? I'm not the one to judge. But that was the episode that we went over yesterday, and I found that really entertaining, and I'm glad I was able to share that with you guys. But for tonight's episode, for our fifth episode of our 13 Nights of Frights, I'm going to be sharing with you guys an urban legend from Beijing, China. So this urban legend is known as the Ghost Bus of Beijing, also known as the last bus to Fragrant Hills. So with this urban legend, there are actually many versions of it, but I would like to share with you guys the most common one that has been shared across generations. Well, I wouldn't say generations, but been shared for at least a little over 20 years. So with that being said, here's the urban legend of the Ghost Bus of Beijing. On November 14th, 1995, it was a dark and stormy night. A man boarded the bus to go to Beijing's Fragrant Hills, located in the Hadian district. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Shortly after boarding the bus for the 302 route, two men on the side of the road were trying to wave down the bus to get the bus to stop. So according to an article that was written by a college student by the name of Wang Yu from the Hadian district, the bus driver was very reluctant, naturally of course, to pick up the men as they were not on a bus stop. But after being advised by the conductor, the driver decided to stop the bus and allow the men on the side of the road on. Once the three mysterious men boarded the bus, the passengers immediately noticed something about them was different. The men from the side of the road were wearing robes of the Qing dynasty. They noticed that instead of 2 men, there were actually 3 men. One man had long, messy hair and was being supported by the 2 other men who initially waved the bus down. According to the lore, the men's faces were wider than a normal person's, and they didn't interact with any of the other passengers on the bus. So naturally, this caused the passengers to feel a bit uneasy, unnerved about the whole situation. But the conductor mediated and cooled things over by just telling the passengers that they're most likely actors who had no time to change costumes before leaving work. We can all relate to that, having to leave work before being able to change, or leaving, going home in a uniform, or whatever it is that you wear. We can all kind of identify with that, so that kind of most likely put the passengers at ease, and they probably didn't have a second thought about it beyond that point. So slowly the bus began to empty of passengers until an old lady and the young man remained inside with the 3 mysterious men from the side of the road. The whole bus was quiet until the old woman abruptly accused the man of stealing her wallet. This claim resulted in a bad argument. The fight was resolved when the old lady insisted that the pair get off the bus and go to the nearest police station. Once they were off the bus, the young man grew mad at the woman, more mad than he was initially, realizing he had just got off the last bus, that there was no police station in sight. Fortunately, though, for the young man, the old woman picked up something he had missed. Turns out that the 3 robed men from the side of the road did not have any legs. They were ghosts. The old woman told the young man, "The wind coming in from the window raised the robes, and I saw they didn't have any feet." Unfortunately, the lore doesn't divulge much about what happened to the pair after leaving the bus. But if what happened, what has been passed down, is true, then that young man owes his life to that old woman. The following morning, the bus that the young man had been on, the 302 bus, was reported missing. And according to some variations of the tale, it would be found in 3 days. The bus was eventually recovered in a reservoir miles away from the final destination of Fragrant Hills. And inside of the bus laid 3 heavily decomposed bodies. That of the driver, the conductor, and one identified body with long, messy hair. In other variations of this lore, police find that the gas tank was filled with blood instead of gasoline. Now, there are numerous mysteries that surround the case of the missing bus, including the fact that the bus did not have enough gas to even get to the reservoir where it was found, and the fact that the bodies were too decomposed for the short period of time that it was missing. According to a online paranormal and horror blog by the name of Atrocitas, security officers, police officers actually viewed footage retrieved from the cameras around the reservoir and found nothing out of the ordinary. Creepy. So it leaves you to think, is this true? Or is this just another piece of lore that's gained popularity over time through different variations and different details added? Other variations include Instead of the three ghost men from the side of the road, other versions substitute those men for a murderous female ghost in a red dress. In other variations, the number of the bus also varies. Sometimes it's bus for routes 302, sometimes it's route 330, and other times it's route 375. In some versions, instead of the old or elderly woman accusing the young man of stealing the wallet, it's an old man that accuses the young man. And in some versions, the bus isn't located in a reservoir or anywhere at all. It's just simply never found. The ghost bus of Beijing, I feel, is very, 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 very relatable for the simple fact that I feel like everyone who catches public transportation has had to have taken the last bus or a late bus at night, and things just naturally creepier at night. Even just simple things like subway stations, bus stops, they're usually just look plain and innocent in the day, can kind of have a creepy edge at night. So just already having that edge with not many people around, you're probably only a few passengers on the bus. It just adds that perfect creepy edge, and it's perfect fodder, I feel, for an urban legend to be created. My favorite part of the urban legend was when the elderly woman tells the young man that the men did not have any legs, they were ghosts, because it's believed that the last bus or late buses or spirit buses who were set to take ghosts to where they need to go, or just used to transport spirits. That's one belief, and that's kind of where I feel the legend itself came from. But I think, for her to say, hey, he stole my wallet, and it was like, we're going to get off the bus here, I think it's great that, instead of just saying, I'm going to get off the bus, I'm not going to sit here, she thought about the other guy who was on the bus, so I thought that was incredibly kind. I'm a sap, I know, but I thought that was really cool. And even though he was mad, I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day, he was grateful, especially when that bus was found and the driver and conductor and all of them were essentially dead. I'm pretty sure he was grateful for that lady in that point in time. That is, if this is a true story. Like I said, it's been passed down. It originated around. It's said that the event happened in 1995, so it could have came along sometime after that. So, still been over 20 years. So it's been passed down in different variations, different details, and it just goes to show that how different tellings of it can just add to it, can add to the suspense, add to the mystery. And the fact that it's a relatively young urban legend as well and already have so many different variations is really cool. It's really cool to me. So I'm pretty sure, especially after hearing that legend, that people who do take public transportation and things like that, I probably think twice, especially in the area of Beijing where it's most popular. Because before doing the research, I had never previously heard of it. And my biggest goal is to share urban legends from different parts of the world that you may not typically research or typically go looking for frights from. That's one of my biggest goals here, is to share those with you guys, the ones that I find really cool, like the ghost bus of Beijing. Because you wouldn't really, here in America, we're just like, okay, a bus is a bus, takes us to and fro, but that's not really anything against, the late bus, but they'd be like, don't take the late bus, because it's a spirit bus, it'll take your soul or you'll die on the last bus. So it just, like I said, it adds a air of creepy and mysterious and terror, because I'm pretty sure at some point everyone has to take that last bus, and that last bus may truly be your last. Ooh, creepy. Now, I know I said that just previously, that my biggest goal is to share with you guys a lot of urban legends and lore from around the world, and that is one of the biggest goals here at Beyond the Bazaar. But I do want to share with you guys I don't want to say one of my favorites because it's not necessarily one of my favorites, but it is one of the creepiest and coolest ones that I've heard in a long time, and that's the one I want to share with you guys tomorrow. And that is the legend of Skinned Tom, the tale of a man that had to find out the hard way that cheaters never win. So come back tomorrow for a new episode of Beyond the Bazaar and our 13 Nights of Frights. Until then, good night. And as always, stay bizarre.